Good day to you all and mabuhay. I am Chelsea CB, a second-year BS Tourism Management student. Today I will be discussing my report entitled as Exploring Green Innovations in Ormoc City, Understanding Challenges and Opportunities for Sustainability. But before we begin the report, I'd like to go over the objectives of what I'll be reporting on throughout the discussion. In these slides are my objectives. The first is discussing my resource inventory report, where I examine the city's resource inventory, which includes natural, cultural, and social assets that contribute to the thriving economy and tourism industry in Ormoc City. The second is discussing my survey assessment report, where in this survey assessment, I will be evaluating the sustainability practices of my chosen tourism-related establishments in our city. Through the survey, various challenges and motivators for adopting green practices were identified, revealing the crucial role of customer demand, cost savings, leadership supports, and many more. And lastly is reflecting on my learnings and its real-life application in sustainable tourism. This reflects on my key learnings from the assessments, emphasizing how sustainable tourism practices can be applied in real-life scenarios to help Ormoc City and similar destinations build a more sustainable future. This report serves as both an exploration of current efforts and a guide for future actions in the field of sustainable tourism. So the first that I'll be discussing is my resource inventory report. This slide aims to examine my chosen various resources in Ormoc City that have shaped its economy, including natural, cultural, historical, social, and tourism-related resources such as facilities, accommodations, and events. It focuses on resource inventory, providing a survey of key assessments that contribute to the city's growth and significance in the community. The report also looks at social resources such as the local community and businesses, and tourism-related resources like hotels, attractions, events that bring in visitors. By examining these resources, this shows how they all work together to support the city's growth and importance in the region. All natural, historical, cultural, tourism facilities or services resources that are found in Ormoc City that I have listed in my paper are all accessible and have been visited by a lot of people, either locals and tourists. They are also known attractions and accommodations where tourists and even locals always visit because of their Instagrammable view with aesthetic vibes and atmosphere. Example of destinations in Ormoc City that are natural resources include Lake Danau, a scenic and serene spot ideal for ecotourism activities such as boating and picnicking. Next, the cultural and historical resources, which is evident in landmarks such as World War II Veterans Memorial, which is located in the center of the city in the park, which commemorates the city's significant role in history, and Saints Peter and Paul Parish Church, a historic structure showing Ormoc's rich religious heritage. Next is the social resources, reflect the community's development through initiatives like local festivals, including Piña Festival, which promotes the city's pineapple industry and local culture, while non-governmental organizations support programs that uplift businesses and tourism. For tourism facilities, Ormoc offers a variety of accommodations from budget-friendly inns to upscale hotels alongside restaurants serving delicious local cuisine and aesthetic dining experiences. Attractions like the City Plaza host occasional events, while guided tours help visitors explore historical sites and natural destinations. These combined resources enhance Ormoc's quality of life, preserve its identity, and make it a vibrant and welcoming destination for travelers. So, natural, historical, cultural, and tourism resources in Ormoc City are important components of sustainable tourism, as these would be an instrument for environmental conservation, cultural heritage conservation, and economic growth. They generate tourism, local income, and employment while inducing responsible behavior that ultimately minimizes the negative impacts on environment and society. Balancing tourism development with their preservation will ensure that long-term benefits accrue for the local population without jeopardizing the unique identities of destinations. These are important to encouraging tourism, generating revenue for local businesses, and providing job opportunities for residents. At the same time, they promote responsible activities like environmental protection and respectful cultural heritage, which assist to mitigate any negative impact of the environment and society. Destinations may flourish if they are properly balanced. The growth of tourism landscape, historic landmarks, and local traditions. This method ensures that tourism gives long-term advantages to the local communities such as economic growth and increased quality of life while preserving the unique identity, culture, and natural beauty that distinguishes these destinations. So the next slide I will be reporting is the Survey Assessment Report. This slide will highlight various tourism-related establishments in Ormoc City and examine how effectively they implement sustainability or green practices in their operations. It will focus on businesses such as hotels, restaurants, tourist attractions, and travel services, showing their efforts to minimize environmental impacts, promote energy efficiency, reduce waste, conserve natural resources, and many more. The report will also explore how these establishments contribute to the local economy and community while maintaining eco-friendly practices, ensuring long-term benefits for both residents and visitors. By assessing the importance of balancing economic growth with environmental preservation and responsible business operations. The next slide shows the overview of tourism-related establishments that I chose in our city. So these tourism-related establishments are JV Hotel, Aya Lodge, and Sutowaki. So first is the JV Hotel. It is a budget-friendly accommodation located at the intersection of Real Corner and Solidor Street in Ormoc City, Leyte. It offers affordable lodging with essential amenities designed to meet the needs of both short and long-term visitors. So JV Hotel guests can enjoy easy access to major city attractions such as shopping malls, restaurants, and other key destinations, making it a convenient choice for travelers looking to explore the area while staying within their budget. The hotel is known for its practical services and central location, providing a comfortable and accessible base for those visiting in Ormoc City. Next is the Aya Lodge. It is a hotel located on Bonifacio Street in Ormoc City, right next to the city bus terminal and just a short walk for the Ormoc City port. Its central location makes it a convenient choice for travelers with easy access to a nearby park, a variety of restaurants, and transportation options. In Aya Lodge, whether guests are arriving by bus or ferry, the hotel's position ensures they can easily travel around the city and explore the local area. The combination of a prime location and essential amenities makes Aya Lodge a great option for both businesses and leisure visitors. Lastly is the Sutowaki. It is a restaurant located on Larrazabal Street in Ormoc City, specializing in food and beverages. It offers a welcoming environment with both indoor and outdoor seating options, allowing guests to enjoy their meals in a comfortable setting. The restaurant is conveniently located near a park, providing visitors the perfect opportunity to relax and take a stroll after dining. Whether you prefer dining inside or outdoors, Sutowaki offers a pleasant experience for anyone looking to enjoy a meal in a peaceful location. The next slide is the result of the survey questionnaire that I gave to each of these hotels and restaurants. The first is the JV Hotel. The result from the Green Performance Assessment of JV Hotel indicates a strong commitment to sustainability with notable strength in several areas. First is the energy consumption and efficiency. All practices in this area were rated as very well practiced, which shows that JV Hotel has a highly effective approach to managing energy usage. This indicates excellent energy saving practices, which likely help reduce costs and the hotel's environmental impact. Next is the water reduction and management. Out of the 13 practices assessed, 10 were rated as well practiced and 3 were rated as practiced. While the majority of practices in this area are well implemented, there is still room for improvement, particularly in the remaining 3 practices that are only rated as practiced. This suggests that there could be additional efforts to optimize water conservation and management. Next, the water management and efficiency. This is the category. In this category, 2 out of 10 practices were rated as very well practiced, while 7 were rated as well practiced, and one practice was left unanswered. These results indicate that while most practices are effective, there might be some areas that need more attention or clarification. The absence of an answer for one practice also highlights the need for more thorough data collection or further development in this area. Next is the education and awareness. 4 out of 6 practices were rated as well practiced and 2 were rated as practiced. This shows that JV Hotel is actively engaging its staff and guests in sustainability efforts, but there may be opportunities to further educate and raise awareness, particularly in the areas rated as practiced. Next is the managerial knowledge on environmental protection and purchasing policy. Both managerial knowledge in environmental protection and purchasing policy received a rating of well practiced for all 4 practices assessed. This suggests that the hotel's management is making strong efforts to ensure environmental protection is prioritized in both decision-making and procurement processes, though there could be room for further refinement. Next is the guest room sustainability. All 9 practices in this area were rated as very well practiced. This highlights the hotel's exceptional efforts in maintaining sustainable guests room operations such as energy-efficient lighting, water-saving fixtures, and eco-friendly amenities, creating a highly sustainable guest experience. Lastly is the sustainability program. The sustainability program received a rating of very well practiced for 1 practice, while the other 3 were rated as well practiced. This indicates that while the hotel has a strong sustainability program in place, there is potential for expanding or enhancing certain aspects to make it even more comprehensive. So, in the overall assessment of this hotel demonstrates a commendable commitment to green practices, particularly in energy consumption, guest room sustainability, and sustainability education. However, there are areas such as water management, education, and some aspects of sustainability program that could be further improved. By addressing the areas rated as practiced or with room for growth, the hotel can continue to enhance its green performance and sustainability efforts, setting a strong example for other accommodations in the region. So the next is the Aya Lodge Hotel. The green performance results for Aya Lodge reflect a strong commitment to sustainability but also highlight areas where improvements can be made. So the first is the energy consumption and efficiency. In this area, 2 out of 7 practices were rated as very well practiced, 3 were rated as well practiced, 1 was rated as practiced, and 1 was rated as not practiced. This indicates that Aya Lodge is performing well in energy efficiency overall, but there is a room for improvement, particularly in the practice rated as not practiced. The hotel should focus on ensuring that all energy-related practices are efficiently implemented. Next is the waste reduction and management. Out of the 13 practices assessed, 4 were rated as very well practiced, 6 were rated as well practiced, and 3 were rated as practiced. This shows that Ayala Lodge has made solid efforts to reduce waste and manage it effectively. However, there is still room for growth, particularly in the 3 practices that were rated lower. Improving waste management practices can help further enhance the hotel's sustainability efforts. Next is the water management and efficiency. In water management, 1 practice was rated as very well practiced, 5 practices was well practiced, and 2 were rated as practiced and slightly practiced. While the majority of water-related practices are well implemented, the presence of a slightly practiced rating suggests some areas may need more attention or refinement. Next is the education and awareness creation. In this category, 4 out of 6 practices were rated as very well practiced and 2 were rated as well practiced. This indicates that Ayala Lodge is doing a commendable job in educating and raising awareness about sustainability among its staff and guests. Next is the managerial knowledge of environmental protection. All 4 practices in this category were rated as well practiced, which indicates that Ayala Lodge management has a solid understanding of environmental protection. However, there is still room for improvement. Next is the purchasing policy. In the purchasing policy, 3 out of 5 practices were rated as well practiced, and the remaining 2 were rated as practiced. This suggests that while Ayala Lodge makes good efforts to ensure sustainable purchasing practices, there is still an opportunity to refine these processes further, particularly in the practices rated as practiced. Next is the guest room sustainability. Out of the 9 practices assessed for guest room sustainability, 2 were rated as very well practiced, 5 was rated as well practiced, and 2 were rated as practiced. This indicates that Ayala Lodge is making significant efforts to make guest rooms more sustainable. And lastly is the sustainability program. In the sustainability program, all 4 practices are rated as well practiced, suggesting that the hotel has a good program in place. So the overall assessment of Ayala Lodge Hotel, as it showed a solid commitment to sustainability, with many areas rated as very well practiced or well practiced. Lastly is the Sutuwaki restaurant. The first is energy consumption and efficiency. In this category, 6 out of 7 practices were rated as well practiced and 1 was rated as practiced. This shows that Sutuwaki is doing well in managing energy consumption, with most practices being effectively implemented. Next is the waste reduction and management. All 13 practices in this category were rated as well practiced, indicating that Sutuwaki has a strong and consistent approach to waste reduction and management. Next is water management and efficiency. In water management, 9 practices were rated as well practiced and 1 was left unanswered. The high rating of the majority of practices shows that Sutuwaki is effectively managing water usage, with only one area that might need more attention or clarification. Next is the education and awareness creation. All 6 practices in this category were rated as well practiced. This demonstrates that Sutuwaki is effectively educating its staff and guests about sustainability, promoting awareness of environmental issues, and encouraging green behavior. Next is managerial knowledge on environmental protection. Sutuwaki rated a well practiced for all 4 practices in this category. indicating that the management team is well informed about environmental protection. Next is the purchasing policy. In this area, all 5 practices were rated as well practiced. Sutowaki appears to be following effective sustainable purchasing policies, ensuring that the products and services it procures are environmentally friendly and support its sustainability goals. Next is the guest room sustainability. All 9 practices in this category were rated as well practiced. This suggests that Sutowaki has implemented a range of sustainable practices in its area, such as energy-efficient lighting, water-saving fixtures, and eco-friendly amenities. Lastly is the sustainability program. All 4 practices in the sustainability program were rated as well practiced, indicating that Sutowaki has a comprehensive sustainability program in place. So, the overall assessment of Sutowaki Restaurant has demonstrated a strong, consistent commitment to sustainability, with the majority of its practices rated as well practiced. So the next slide that I will be discussing is about the motivators and ratings of each tourism-related establishments. So in the first picture, it is the discussion of motivating factors for green practices. The table shows the factors motivating each establishment in JV Hotel, Aya Lodge, and Sutowaki in adopting green practices. So in customer demand, all 3 establishments marked as key motivator, indicating that they focus on meeting customer expectations for sustainable services. Next is the senior management pressure. None of these establishments mark senior management pressure, meaning their green initiatives are not being forced by higher-ups, but are instead driven by internal values or market trends. Sutowaki and JV Hotel did not mark maintaining rapport with LGAs, cost savings, regulatory compliance, and board member requirements, which may indicate they lack support or resources for fully implementing sustainability practices. This could make long-term success harder to achieve. However, Aya Lodge marked all of these factors, suggesting a more comprehensive approach to sustainability by considering legal, financial, and regulatory factors. Aya Lodge is likely setting itself up for sustainable growth and better alignment with broader goals. And in conclusion, while customer demand is a shared motivation, Sutowaki and JV Hotel may struggle with support for green practices, while Aya Lodge appears to have a more strategic, long-term sustainability plan in place. So in the second picture or table, it shows the ratings of motivating factors for green practices in each establishments. So in senior management pressure, JV Hotel and Sutowaki both rated senior management pressure as a strong motivator, meaning that the leaders of these establishments encourage their employees to adopt green practices. However, Aya Lodge did not provide a rating for this factor, so we are unable to assess its influence at this time. Next is the cost savings. Aya Lodge rated cost savings as the highest motivator, which suggests that saving money is a top priority for the hotel. In comparison, JV Hotel and Sutowaki rated this factor lower, meaning that while cost saving are important to them, they are not their biggest priority. Next is the customer demand. Aya Lodge again rated customer demand as the highest motivator, showing that it is highly responsive to customer preferences and is motivated to adopt green practices to meet customer expectations. Both JV Hotel and Sutowaki rated customer demand as important, but not as their top priority. Next is the regulatory compliance. Aya Lodge again rated regulatory compliance as a top priority, highlighting the importance of adhering to environmental laws to avoid penalties and maintain its business operations. Sutowaki rated this factor as moderately important, showing that they understand the need to follow regulations but may only meet the minimum requirements. Next, the JV Hotel rated it the lowest, suggesting that regulatory compliance is followed out of necessity but is not a major priority for the establishment. Next is maintaining rapport with LGAs. Aya Lodge rated this the highest, indicating a strong focus on building positive relationships and collaboration with local government agencies. Sutowaki and JV Hotel both rated this factor as 4, meaning they recognize the value of these relationships but may not rely on them as heavily for implementing green practices. And lastly is the board member requirements. Aya Lodge rated this as the highest, suggesting that its leadership strongly supports environmentally friendly practices and prioritizes meeting these standards. Sutowaki rated this factor as a 4, indicating that board members also support sustainability but it may not be the highest priority. JV Hotel rated it as the lowest, suggesting that while they comply with board members' requirements, it is not a major driving force for their green initiatives. So, in conclusion, both the tables show that Aya Lodge appears to have the strongest commitment to sustainability with a clear focus on cost savings, regulatory compliance, customer demand, and board member support. Sutowaki and JV Hotel, while still motivated by green practices, seems to have other priorities that take precedence over the factors outlined in the survey. This difference in motivation suggests that Aya Lodge may have more robust approach to sustainability compared to Sutowaki and JV Hotel. So each establishment was also questioned in the survey questionnaire on what are the challenges and constraints in the implementation and non-implementation of green practices in their establishment. The responses from the establishments highlight key challenges in implementing green practices. In JV Hotel, they indicate that they lack of professional advice and insufficient knowledge. This shows that their main barrier is a lack of access to expertise and understanding about how to effectively adopt green practices. Next is Aya Lodge. They indicate that they can be rooted in a variety of causes, including opposition from key stakeholders, meaning that resistance from influential individuals or groups within the organization hinders the adoption of green practices. And lastly is Sutowaki with no response, which could suggest a lack of clarity or focus on identifying barriers to green practices. So in conclusion, these responses reveal that education, expert guidance, and stakeholder collaboration are critical to overcoming barriers to sustainability. The next slide shows the strengths and gaps in sustainability practices in each establishment. In JV Hotel, they are strong in energy efficiency, indicating strong efforts in reducing energy use. Next is they excel in guest room sustainability, reflecting a commitment to eco-friendly guest experiences. Lastly is they focus on customer demand for green practices and they recognize and respond to customer preferences for green practices. Next is the Aya Lodge Hotel. Their strengths is they are strong in cost saving and legal compliance, rated highly in cost savings, regulatory compliance, customer demand, and maintaining rapport with LGAs. Next is they perform well in most green practices areas. And lastly, they prioritize relationship with local authorities. Lastly is Sutowaki, where they are consistent in applying green practices. And lastly, they value customer preferences. Next are the gaps of each hotels and restaurant. In JV Hotel, they lack professional advice and knowledge, which they struggle with a lack of professional advice and insufficient knowledge, limiting the ability to expand and refine green practices. They are also weak in regulatory compliance. Next is their limited focus on cost saving and stakeholder relationships, where they do not prioritize cost saving or strong stakeholder relationships. Next is the ILOG. They also face resistance from stakeholders due to opposition from stakeholders, which can hinder the effective implementation of green initiatives. And last is they're unclear if leadership strongly supports sustainability. They did not provide a rating in this area, leaving it unclear whether leadership actively supports green practices. And lastly is the Sutuwaki restaurant. They are unclear focus on sustainability priorities, which left some unanswered questions unanswered, which might indicate a lack of focus or strategic directions in identifying barriers or motivators for green practices. And lastly, their basic effort in regulatory compliance. So the next slide shows the analysis and recommendation of improving sustainability practices in each establishment. So in JV Hotel, they focus on improving compliance with environmental regulations. They also develop stronger relationships with stakeholders, including local authorities and management teams. They should promote cost-saving benefits of green practices to encourage broader adoption. Next is ILOG Hotel, where they should address stakeholder resistance through communication and awareness programs, and they should ensure stronger leadership support by integrating sustainability goals into management objectives. And lastly, in Sutuwaki, they must define clear sustainability priorities and objectives, and also strengthen efforts to exceed basic regulatory compliances. So in this slide shows my insights and reflection of my resource inventory and survey assessment. So conducting this report has provided valuable insights into the practice challenges and opportunities of sustainable tourism. I have learned that understanding barriers is important because many establishments face common barriers such as lack of knowledge, stakeholder resistance, and limited resources. Another is motivating factors, where customer demand and cost-saving benefits are key motivators for businesses, while regulatory compliances and leadership supports vary in priority across establishments. Another is the importance of collaboration, where strong relationships with stakeholders, including local government agencies, are essential for achieving long-term sustainability. And lastly is the consistency and commitment in business, as it integrates sustainability into their core operations, and decision-making processes tend to show better performance and long-term benefits. And lastly is how I apply sustainability practices as a future tourism professional. So the first is I will advocate for awareness, where I educate businesses and stakeholders about the importance of sustainability and provide clear strategies for implementing green practices. Second is collaboration and partnership, where I work with local governments, NGOs, and businesses to create programs that support sustainable tourism initiatives. Next is the leadership and example, where we foster sustainability in my own practices, ensuring that my actions align with environmental, social, and economic principles. And lastly is the stakeholder engagement, where it is important that we should involve all relative parties like management, employees, customers, and local communities in decision-making processes to ensure alignment and success. And by incorporating these concepts into real-life scenarios, I can contribute to building a tourism industry that not only thrives economically, but also respects and preserves the environment and local communities. So that will be all for my discussion about my report. I hope I was able to simply explain my report from inventory resources to survey assessments and my reflection of the whole activities. Thank you for listening and mabuhay!